Of course, you'll recognise where we are here. We're at the Mirador of Femés, looking down towards Playa Blanca and Fuerteventura. And the news story last week is, there's cyclists going down there. They're not allowed on that road. The story this week is on that bend, which is centre frame at the moment, an 18-metre truck, articulated lorry got stuck last week. Couldn't go up, couldn't go down. In the end, Guardia Civil had to close the road for 30 minutes and guide him down backwards. Can you imagine going back down this hill in an 18-metre articulated truck? Now this is a homage to Haria. She is a fictional character, a beautiful young woman of Femés. Another piece of interesting news that came out this week as part of the census from 2023 is that over 23% of the population of Lanzarote is now foreign born, so is an immigrant basically. 23% of the population are immigrants, almost a quarter of it, and that's risen from 6% back in 2020 at the turn of the millennium. The British make up the largest part of that, 5,400, although their numbers are going down currently. The second place is Colombians, 5,500 from memory, and in third place now we have the Italians, 4,200 Italians resident living on the island, and that's the fastest growing nationality. And if they continue at the current rate, in the next year or two they will overtake the British and the Colombians and be the most populous foreign nationality on the island. So out of our total population, 36,700 foreigners living here currently. Well, we're back in the studio now, as you can see. And the first piece of news I need to share with you from here is not a great one. The taxi drivers of Lanzarote are threatening to go on strike over Easter, which would cause absolute chaos. We are predicting 97% occupancy on the island over the Easter period. So it would be a bit of a disaster if the strike goes ahead, so fingers crossed that it doesn't. The background to the story, you may or may not be aware that the taxi service here is municipalised. So each municipality has its own taxis and they are only allowed to pick up fares in their own areas. So for example, a Playa Blanca taxi, which is in the municipality of Yaiza, can only pick up fares in Yaiza. So they drive from Yaiza or from Playa Blanca to the airport, drop passengers off, and they then have to go back empty until they can pick someone up in their own municipality for another fare. Obviously that causes some issues. There are long queues for taxis at certain times of the day and on certain days of the week, particularly Saturday, which is the busiest day at the airport. The Cabildo put forward the suggestion that it would make much more sense if when there are particularly busy times at the airport or Arrecife or anywhere else, that they can call in taxis from other areas to pick up passengers. And the cooperatives of the drivers don't like it. 6 of the 7 municipalities have voted that they want to strike in protest to this idea and suggestion. The only one that didn't was Arrecife. We'll keep you posted, of course, and as I said before, we've got everything crossed here that this taxi strike doesn't go ahead. Bit of a horrible story this week. The word several has been used, so I don't know what the actual answer is. I know of 2 dogs who died last week when they ate poisoned meat while out and about walking with their owners in Haria, in the village in the north of the island. The local press have used the phrase several a couple of times, so maybe it is more than 2, I don't know, but you know, 1 is bad enough. Unfortunately, nobody has been able to find anything out about this, whether it was an accident or the poisoned meat was left out deliberately. The Canary Islands dog squad, canine squad, came to Haria and they let their dogs have a sniff around and see if they could find anything, and they didn't. So at this stage we don't know why, but if you do live in the north of the island, just keep your dog on a relatively short lead, and hopefully this is a one-off and won't happen again. Now last Sunday, we saw 33 degrees on the island. It was unbelievably hot for a March day. And unfortunately this weekend we have rain forecast, and there is a low pressure zone, a depression, which is passing to the north of the islands, and that will create the usual kind of swirl effect you get around a depression, which is going to give Lanzarote strong winds and potentially quite heavy rainfall on Saturday and Sunday. Met, who are the weather service here, have already issued a yellow warning for heavy rain, and they're monitoring the situation and updating us closely. So fingers crossed. Sometimes these things are predicted and they just don't happen, but other times they do, of course, and fingers crossed it's a bit gentler than Met are currently expecting. We have 2 new adapted buses for Timman Fire. They are the buses that kind of do the circular route. So you go there either on a tour bus or in your own hire car, and then get on one of those kind of earth-coloured buses, I would describe them as, which do a route around the volcanoes at Timman Fire. And 2 new hybrid buses have arrived, and they are now adapted for people with limited mobility. So that's good news for Timman Fire, and great news that we've got hybrid buses going in there now. This is the point at which I ask you please to subscribe down below, and also click the notification bell. By subscribing to our service, you'll see our weekly news videos. We do them every week for the island, so you'll always be up to date with your favourite place in the sun. And also, if you have a question or a comment, please leave a comment below. I read all of them, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions you have that we haven't covered. Now, Lanzarote has 2 football teams. We have UD Lanzarote and we have US Yaiza. Obviously, Yaiza are based down in Yaiza, and UD Lanzarote are based in Arrecife. They're flying high at the moment. They're both in the 3rd division of the Spanish league. And at the moment, UD Lanzarote are in 3rd place, but only 2 points off the leaders, and US Yaiza are in 4th place. So as we get towards the end of the season, they're both going to be vying for either automatic promotion or a chance at the playoffs. So fingers crossed for the 2 Lanzarote teams. It would be great to see them going up to the 2nd division. And finally, those of you who visit Costa de Gizeh regularly, you may have noticed sometimes as you walk past the pumping stations on the promenade that there have been some nasty smells. Now, these pumping stations, I have to say, don't pump sewage out to sea. They actually pump the sewage from the hotels and apartments in Costa de Gizeh up to the treatment plant where the sewage is treated. But in the last 6 months or so, and we've noticed it as we've walked past, there have been some quite nasty smells along the promenade, only in relatively small sections, but enough to be slightly uncomfortable. The good news is the Cabildo has now agreed with Canal Gestion, who are the company that look after water and sewage on the island, to give them some funding to have these pumping stations serviced. And apparently once they're properly serviced, they will no longer be releasing their nasty nifs. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back same time next week. Bye for now.